Hello and welcome to this week's video. I'm quite excited about this week's video really, because this is a little concept that my lovely wife came up with. So over to you, wife.
Well, we thought we might do a little bit of sharing with you how we book and why we book. And then when I started sort of going back over the years, looking at the holidays from the first Disney holiday we'd actually had, it actually more became like a reminiscent sort of experience. And so we just thought we'd share with you our Disney experiences on the holidays we've had, which kind of shapes how we book and why we book and what we do now. So these will be sort of taking you right back to the pre-vlogging years, and just sharing with you where we stayed, what we did, and how our Disney journey has unfolded. So yeah, that's what we're going to do.
I think before we sort of start, the reason that we started going to Disney is back in the day, my dad took me and my sister to Disney when I was 13 and my sister was 10. And this is going back a long time. And back in the day, that was like the dream ticket holiday. Hardly anyone in my class at school had been, and it was like a real massive deal. And it was just such an incredible holiday. So when we had children and when Tracy and I first got together, it was just like, we've got to go, we've got to go.
You were always saying this is something you really wanted to do, especially with the children. So yeah, the first opportunity we had to do it, we did.
Yeah, we couldn't afford it,
no.
But we just went, and we'll come to that.
We didn't care about that.
No, we didn't care about that. So we'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah, we still don't really, do we?
No.
Okay, so the first year that we went was 2005. And we booked it through a company that you found called Travel City Direct.
Yeah.
And they sort of did they do everything including the flights? They did, because they have their own planes, didn't they?
Yeah. And
their planes were quite good because they were, I don't know what type of plane they were because I'm not into planes, but they had good space between the seats. They were quite, even their economy seats were quite spacious. But it was one of those old flights where, you know, you have one TV shared up in the aisle.
it was a bit of a trade-off. So yeah, what Tracy said is bang on. There was loads of space, plenty of legroom. The planes were old, and they kind of had, you know, every sort of fourth row there was a little screen for a telly. So it was a bit basic.
But the food was good, if I remember rightly. The food was really good.
Yeah, we really liked Travel City Direct, and yeah.
So we booked it through them. We flew with them into Sanford.
Lovely Sanford.
Lovely Sanford. That was our first experience of the lovely immigration and sort of homeland security processes at the US airports, which was interesting. The children were, so Luke was 5 and Daisy was coming up she was sort of 18, 20 months, coming up to 2. So they were quite young, but we felt that it was the first time that they would be able to experience something of it, and we just wanted to go anyway. So
yeah, it
wasn't really about them. It was about us wanting to go too. They were just the excuse. And we stayed in, it was called the Sheraton, I think, and it was right at the end of International Drive near SeaWorld. I remember that because we did actually walk to SeaWorld from there.
Yeah. Because you cut through the car park.
Yeah, we kind of like went cross country. Yeah, so it was very close to SeaWorld. It's still there. It's not called that anymore. I think it's now called the Doubletree. Having done a bit of sort of digging around, it looks like it's now called the Doubletree by Hilton, possibly, but near SeaWorld. So it is still there. But that was a really interesting first experience of doing Disney, because the hotels, or that hotel particularly at that time, did the free shuttles to and from the parks, and that was great. So that was, you also had to find your slot to go and find your coach at the times that you were going to go back to the hotel, if I remember rightly.
On the return journey?
Yeah. So it was like, you know, going and finding your bay in the coach parks at the parks to try and get back. That was quite interesting.
That was a massive plus point for us, actually.
Yeah.
So when staying off of resort, having that shuttle to and from, that free shuttle to and from the parks, especially when you're on a budget, was a game changer, really.
And with 2 small children.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a good way to get there and back, dropped right to the door. Yeah, so I mean, that was a really good experience. We had we were right opposite a little parade of, I'm going to say shops, but there was mainly eateries.
It was like a gas station, and there's some restaurants and some.
And we used to go for breakfast at, I think it might still be there, the Village Inn.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is a bit like Denny's, I guess, but independent possibly, I don't know.
It definitely had like a small town village, a small town, maybe a few branches, but it was great. The service was great. They had kids colouring pictures on the walls.
Yeah, and it was mainly pictures of like Magic Kingdom. There were lots of pictures of the fire. I think they were running maybe a competition of like drawing the fireworks. So all the kids' pictures on all the fireworks as you went into like the lobby bit before you got to the reception, before they seated you in the little booths and things. So that's one of my big memories of that holiday.
I remember it smelled really weird.
I remember that.
Yeah, it had a really weird smell. You kind of got used to it, but you know, as soon as you went in, it was just like, ooh.
Not a bad smell, but it was an odd smell.
It wasn't a great smell.
Was it not? I don't.
No.
Oh, that must have been nose.
But yes,
blind.
nose blind.
Yeah.
But it was a great trip, and it was absolutely fantastic. Memories that we will have forever.
Oh, it was the year of Katrina.
Oh.
That was we actually literally arrived, I think, a day before Katrina hit. So when we checked in, it was like, I don't know where we'd been. We'd not seen the news, or we hadn't been interested in it. I don't know. So the first thing we knew about, oh, there's a hurricane coming, was when we checked in, and they were like, oh, here's your list of things to do. And one of them was like, you know, go and get in the bath. Shut yourselves in the bathroom and get in the bath. And we're like,
it was like a scene from Cool Runnings in the bathtub.
We never did. We didn't do that.
I did.
You tried it out. Yeah, so that was weird. And I think the first morning, that jet laggy morning when you get up and it's all dark, and we went off to the parks quite happily, didn't we? Because it was like, oh yeah, it's fine. So we went off to the parks, and we came back in the afternoon. It was a bit windy, and it was, I think, the next morning that we saw the news, and we got up and we saw it had hit in sort of New Orleans, and it was just like, oh my god. And then we realised quite obliviously that obviously everyone at home, our parents, had been seeing the news, and at one point it was looking like it was going to hit Florida. And they were probably really, really worried, and we were like, oh, just off to the parks. And they got back and went, oh my god. Yeah, luckily it didn't hit Florida, but unfortunately poor New Orleans did get it quite badly. Yeah, that was Katrina year, so that was an interesting thing to arrive to.
So that was the Sheraton International Drive. That was a great holiday.
It was a great holiday, yeah. It's got a big tower, and then we were in like the blocks of accommodation, which go down past the pool into the other areas. But yeah, it was a good place to stay, and location wise it was great. It was right at the end of International Drive, so we did the I-trolley a lot, going up and down the
the I-trolley memories are great. That green trolley that runs around with like the wooden slatted seating. Yeah, that was cool.
That was good fun. Okay.
So the next year, so we went, so we did, that was 2005. Also, bear with me, I know I mentioned this before in previous videos, my memory is a howler. So a lot of this is, feels like brand new information to me as well.
Sorry, it's repeated.
So the next year was 2006.
Yes,
yeah,
because that comes after 2005.
Does come after 2005. And we went to the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, again, I don't know if it's still there, or even if it's still called. If it's still there, it's not called the Holiday Inn. It might still be there, but it was. I think it was somewhere in the middle of International Drive, but I might be wrong. And I have a feeling that we definitely walked to Pirates Cove from there. Yeah. And right next door to us was this most amazing restaurant called Race Rock, which you've heard us mention before, which was brilliant for Luke, because even at 5, 6, he was definitely a petrol head at that age. Cars was all he was interested in from the moment he could speak, really, wasn't he? It was
a boy's dream, this restaurant. They could have served terrible school dinners and it would have still been the best restaurant for him. You walked in and there's a NASCAR upside down on the ceiling. There are motorbikes all over the walls. There are sports screens just showing cars crashing. There's a wall of arcade machines.
Yeah. It was a sports bar essentially, but racing themed.
It was fantastic.
In a way that only American can do racing themed, really.
Yeah, we ate there so much on that holiday. Also because, with 2 young kids, how old were Luke and Daisy on this trip?
6 and 3.
Yeah. It was walking distance to our hotel. We went through the entire menu. Fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Interesting to say that these 2 holidays, the time of year that we went, we decided, pricing wise, we were looking at flights, and we decided we actually went the last week of August and the first week of September. So we did take the children, well, Daisy wasn't quite in school by then, but we did take Luke out of school for that first week of September, mainly because the flights were cheaper. Yeah. And we also felt that first week of going back to school, it's not always a full week anyway, and if it was a year that it wasn't like his first year at school or a key year in his education, it probably wasn't too bad for him to miss a few days in that first week, just so we could get that holiday a little bit cheaper.
We're paying for that now. that lack of education, those few days, like future Luke, like current Luke.
If only you hadn't done that.
Yeah, if only we hadn't have done that, because
I think he's all right.
He's all right.
Yeah, so it was that time of year, so that was quite interesting. And the other thing with it was all again booked through Travel City at that time. So same deals.
Still with Travel City Direct, yeah.
But the shuttle from the Holiday Inn, you had to pay for. I can't remember how much it was, but it worked out quite expensive for 4 of us every day. I think it was over $25 a day by the time you added it up. So we did it the first day, and then we decided we would do it differently. So my main memories of this holiday was the mission of getting to and from the parks by public transport.
Yeah, as with the previous trip, the year before, we were still on this holiday and we couldn't afford it, but we definitely knew that it had to happen. So everything was on a budget. I think pretty much I had like a bum bag with all of the money in it. I didn't really have a lot of space on cards or credit cards if anything went a bit squirrely. So I just had readies in my pocket just in case. And before we went, because we had previous knowledge from the year before where we knew that we would need a stroller for both of them, we bought, I think on eBay, some second-hand buggies for not a lot of money, which we ended up leaving there for the next room.
Yeah, because although Luke was 5 and 6, it is a lot of walking for a little one. And he did. Also, I think he'd have been all right if Daisy hadn't been in a stroller, but because she was in the stroller, I think he felt a bit hard done by. So he was quite happy. He wanted to have a bit of a rest down there. We did hire the strollers from the parks a couple of times on the first trip, and a couple of days I think we did. I can't remember. We definitely hired them on the first trip, but again, that does become quite expensive if you do it more than a few days. So we decided we'd buy this sort of cheaper. It was one of those big. It was a big.
It was
3-wheeler fancy thing.
And at the end of the trip, we just left it in the room with a little note saying either recycle this or give it to another guest. But that was great. But
we did have to take them on public transport.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to. I remember at one point having on a really busy bus, it was a Lynx bus. You know, with the backpack where you have the strap that goes across your chest, I had at one point a stroller handles hooked through that. I had a buggy in this arm and Daisy in this arm, while Luke and Tracey were sat on the sofa. And it was not on the sofa, on the bus.
It was a really busy bus, so you were standing anyway, and I think we'd managed to get a seat, so I had Luke on my lap on the seat in the bus. It was a packed, heaving bus. Those were the things that we had to do. But the journey, I think we got the iTrolley from outside near the Holiday Inn. I don't know whether that dropped us at SeaWorld, or whether we then had to get another bus from the other end of, I don't know. We ended up outside SeaWorld getting a bus then to the transportation centre at Magic Kingdom. I remember that. And then, of course, that was fine if you're doing Magic Kingdom. We used to go across on the ferry, because, you know, we do like a ferry boat. So we used to go the ferry boat across to Magic Kingdom. Or you could get on the monorail to go to Epcot. But, of course, if you want to go anywhere else, like Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, by the time you got to the transportation centre, you had to wait for another internal bus from there to get to the park. So it would take, like, over an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes to get to a park and back from a park with the buggies and the kids.
It was a mission.
It was a mission.
It was an absolute mission. But the great thing about these holidays is, you know, we're at a very different time in our lives now. But when you think back to, you know, we were on such a budget, literally working out how much we could spend on food that day. And when you look back at some of the memories, so we would eat in a restaurant one night and then we would have 2 nights where we would have takeaways. But one of my fondest memories is being at the Holiday Inn and having Subway's picnics. Because Subway's wasn't a massive thing. I'm not even sure if it was in the UK in 2006. But we would go over to Subway's. Luke was blown away by these jumbo sandwiches. And then we would just sit in the room with the telly on, you know, American telly, which was a novelty for the kids, with the little Subway wrappers open, eating away, having a picnic on the floor. So we had some amazing memories.
We did have some great memories from that time. As I said, I definitely remember we walked to Pirate Cove. I mean, I'm sure we could possibly see it from.
Yeah, it was all pretty central.
It was very close. I think it's located where near Icon Park is now. I'm not entirely sure.
We need to really re-explore International Drive.
Yeah, because it was great. Yeah.
And then we had a couple of years off.
Yes, for some reason, I don't know why, probably
the dark years.
The dark years, financially, possibly. So we didn't go again until 2008. And I remember we booked this. We'd gone to We've gone to Legoland.
So we'd had a terrible day at Legoland.
It was just, we called August bank holiday. It was busy, the queues were horrendous, and we came out of it and you were like, we don't do it like Disney. I really miss Disney. We really need to go to Disney.
Yeah.
So I think we actually booked for the October half term.
That day
When we got back.
Yeah.
Don't think
So thanks a bunch, Legoland. It cost me a bundle.
I don't think you'd be able to do that now because the availability, well, you probably would, but I don't think you'd get good deals at that. Well, you might do. Anyway, we've never done it at that interval since, but we might do.
Yeah. And we booked again still with Travel City Direct.
Yeah.
And this one was the real game changer for us because we pushed the boat out and we stayed on property.
Yeah, for the first time. I think that remembering the mission of how hard it was with all the public transport to get to and from the parks.
We definitely paid our dues.
Yeah. And very much, you know, we need to explain, firstly, we don't want to drive in the States. Having been on international drive, I nearly got run over several times because of that weird thing where you can turn left or right on a red light. Anyway, it confused us and you don't really fancy driving, do you?
The driving in America freaks me out because part of me really wants to hire a really cool car out there. I can't work the roads out. Also, bearing in mind, for a decent amount of time, I used to drive a van all around France, Italy, Belgium. So European roads, no problem. But I think what we might have to do is 1 year, because we're going to want to start spending more time in Florida.
Yeah.
1 year, I'm going to go out there and I might just see if I can book a lesson. I've got some friends that live in America, in the Tampa area, and I might just phone my mate Scott up and say, I've got to get over this.
He has offered actually to take you out and just give you a little bit of a confidence. It's just confidence, I think, probably. Anyway,
it's just complicated. Like, I need to get run over on foot, so in a car I'm going to be a nightmare. Anyway,
that's why we kind of probably didn't book for a few years, and we didn't want to drive. And we thought, oh, that journey was horrendous. So trying to stay on property was like, yeah, that's the next thing we want to do.
Yeah, and also when you're looking at your transport costs and the time that you're wasting, it was kind of like a false economy, really. So we thought, right, no, let's go and stay on property.
And plus, because of the journey being so difficult to and from the parks and the children being the age they were, it wasn't until we did the second holiday that we did any of the nighttime shows. So I think we did Wishes for the very first time when we were at the Holiday Inn, and we literally had an easy day, a lie-in with the kids, and we literally had dinner and went and did Wishes for the first time. And we stood before you even get into the park, actually, at that bit where you just go through the ticket area to see Wishes for the first time. So when we'd only done one nighttime show, so I think staying on property as well meant that we could be a bit more flexible about what we did and we could get more of the experience. So that was definitely something we wanted to do.
It just unlocks a whole different experience.
So this was our first experience, and yeah, it kind of opened the way for us.
Yeah, so this is 2008 and we stayed at Pop Century. And Pop Century remains one of my favourite resorts. For me, if you're going to Disney for the first time, I would say, also depending on your kid's age, Disney's value resorts, because you turn up and then you just get a slap around the head of just like...
It's full on, I must admit,
amazing.
when we got there. I think we were still getting taxis from the airport at that point, from Stanford, to get to the resort, so there was...
It's just incredible.
I don't think we ever had Magic Express on that one.
I'm not sure.
Anyway.
But they are over the top. They're garish, they're bright, they're colourful, they're shiny, they're just incredible.
But I remember driving up to it and I think, oh my god, what has he booked?
Yeah, Tracey's like, oh my god,
whoa.
I'm like, this is amazing.
This is tacky and cheesy and oh my god. But when you're in it, it's great. And I remember there was some of the areas in Pop Century, as you may know if you've stayed there, there was a tricycle race thing.
Yeah, they got like a big like three-wheeler like statue, and then underneath it,
at certain times of day the cast members would come and do a little like toddler three-wheeler bike race.
Yeah, which Luke won.
Yeah,
which is brilliant. So we were just
the racing genes are strong.
We were just blown away because all of the stuff that goes on around the pool that's just included, all the little competitions. Luke and I were in the pool super early one morning, and a cast member came up and went up to Luke and said, would you like to open the pool? And it was like, do I? And that was the Hippy Dippy pool. So
and
he got up and he had to like open the pool for the day for everybody. It was like a little ceremony. Fantastic. And yeah, so all the benefits of staying on resort were just, we were just exposed to the whole thing, and that was it for us.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But again, still on a budget. There was no dining plan, or we didn't have the dining plan. I don't even know if it was offered at that point.
Yeah, this was even more of a budget because I remember we had gone out with not enough. Don't do what we did, because this was, yeah. So we had gone out with not enough money. I mean, a dangerously low amount of money. I used to have a couple of. I had 2 or 3 bits and pieces going on, and I had a girl that was running the whole show for me. So basically, I had mobile bars, and I phoned Julie up. Before we went on holiday, I'd stocked all of my bars up with loads of booze, and so everything was set up. And then, which meant I couldn't have gone out with a load of money. So I said to Julie, right, Monday mornings after all the functions, bank all the money. So on the first Monday, I'm thinking, I've got like $200. And I phoned Julie up, said, have you put that money in? And she's like, it wasn't really worth it. It was a bad event. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, we didn't really take much money, and the money that I've got, I'm going to need for a float. And I was like, but all of this stuff that has gone on in the past has made it better. We appreciate it way more now. But it was just like, oh no. So like, where are we going for dinner tonight? We're eating in the quick serve tonight, but it's going to be fab. So yeah, that was Pop's entry.
But we did get the refillable mugs.
Yeah.
And in the mornings, again, I think, did we have the buggies that year? No, we didn't. We only had Daisy's stroller that year, I think. But I remember, again, with your backpack with the strap across and all the straps on it, we would get that. We had the 4 refillable mugs, and then before we got the shuttle buses from the hotel to the parks in the morning, we would go and fill them up with at least a drink to get us through some of the day, so we didn't have to buy in the parks.
Yeah.
Which is maybe what lots of people do anyway, which is quite sensible. But for us, it was like, we've got to do this, we've really got to do this.
I know. Otherwise we're going to dehydrate. We cannot afford to hydrate.
And you had them hanging off, like...
As you're walking around, they've got sloshing everywhere. But... Great memories. Absolutely fantastic memories.
And our first experience of how easy it is to get to the parks from the resorts, which again, you know, bearing in mind we didn't really want to drive anyway, and we're like, oh well, you know, if we stay on resort, we never have to drive. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant.
And that was it for us.
So I think even literally we got home, or even before we got home, we booked the next trip for the following year.
Yeah. So the next year,
still going at the same time of year, the August into September.
Yeah. And this is the year our friends came with us.
This is the first year we had some friends coming with us. Yeah.
Right. One of my best friends came up to me at the school gates, and some people think he's grumpy. I think he's awesome. And he came up to me at the school gates and he's like, you do this Disney thing, don't you? I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. He's like, yeah, whatever. If I'm gonna have to do this Disney thing because my wife wants to go, my son wants to go, and if I'm gonna have to do this, I want to do it with you. And I'm like, yes! And he's like, look, can you just sort it out? I'm like, yes! And he's just like, whatever. Anyway, so we booked, again with Travel City Direct, and we booked like the dream ticket. We booked Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah.
And then Travel City Direct
went bust.
Went bust. I think they're back up and running now. I think Virgin bought them, but yeah, Travel City went bust, and then we had to rebook.
And it was about, how many months? It wasn't immediately before we went. We had time to sort it out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got it all sorted out. And then we ended up staying, it did us a favour actually, we ended up staying at Saratoga Springs.
Yeah, our first experience
of
that kind of accommodation. So I don't think we booked the DVC style accommodation at Animal Kingdom.
No, this just came up. But the other thing is, my sister came with us as well. My sister is one of the world's best humans. She puts so much effort in, and she's brilliant with the kids. So when we got on the plane, she had already packed like a full arts and crafts session for Daisy. So literally, as they're sat down, Tracey and I are on the champagne. Luke's got his face in in-flight entertainment, and Daisy and my sister Kelly are sticking and gluing already. They were fantastic.
Puppets.
And we had a 2-bedroom villa, which was just like,
and I think we flew Virgin for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, economy, but hey.
Yeah, so Saratoga Springs.
It was great.
And I think if Saratoga Springs adjusted their accommodation slightly, we wouldn't have moved. We would have always stayed there because the resort's fantastic. The on-site restaurants are fantastic. The pool area is awesome. You're very, very close to Disney Springs, so you can get the ferry, which, you know, we love.
Although we'd done Disney Springs before, being that close meant we did more. And, you know, as you guys know, we do love it. But I think that was where it really started to really give us that, Disney Springs feel.
Yeah. But Saratoga Springs, I would love to go back there.
It was our first year on dining plan as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time we'd had the dining plan, and it was the full dining plan, not the deluxe one, but the one with, like, at that point it was a quick serve, your table service meal. I think you only got one snack at that point, your refillable mug and your drinks, but no alcohol at that point. And you only got one snack because with the lunch you got a dessert with the lunch, which now you don't. You just get an extra snack credit to use as and when you want, I believe. So that was the first year, and I don't think it was my Disney experience then. So I remember, like, on the 180 day that you could book, I think it was the 180 day that you could book the dining, actually sitting with a list of days that I thought we'd do each park or what we do, and on the phone to Disney booking the dining.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and although you could change it, it was a phone call to change it. So it was kind of like, for us, pretty much locked in, that's what we're going to do. And that was my first year when my spreadsheet came out.
Tracey loves a spreadsheet.
Well, there were a lot of us. There was
there was 8 of us.
Yeah, so it was a big group of people to book dining for as well. So once it's booked, the chance of changing, if there's only 2 or 3 or 4 of you, it's easy to change. But a group of 8, they were quite often places were saying, well, we can't guarantee that you will be on the same table together. It just depends on the day on the restaurant. We always were.
Yeah.
I think they just have to say that. But obviously, trying to get table anywhere, any restaurant, whether you're on Disney dining or whether you're just going down to your local town to have a meal. A group of 8 is quite a hard thing to accommodate.
Yeah.
And change and things. So yeah, we were pretty much locked in, and also I wanted to make sure that our friends got the experiences that we wanted to share with them, especially as that they weren't sure if this was going to be a one-off, so they needed to get the full-on Disney. So I made sure we did a parade, I made sure we did the nighttime stuff. So I had a spreadsheet of what we were doing each day, where we were eating, what time, and it was brilliant.
It was awesome. I think actually that was one of my favourite trips we've ever done, because most of my favourite people were there. Obviously Team Cheers is, but our friends Phil, Sarah and Jim were with us. My sister, we're actually talking about doing a big family trip next year. My sister is incredible, and she always talks about this holiday, and yeah, I cannot wait to take her back, because 2009, so it's like loads of stuff's changed, and I cannot wait to take my sister back, so that'd be awesome.
But there was a brilliant moment and memory from that holiday involving your sister.
My sister's awful. My sister's like, everyone thinks she's really nice. So we're at the holidays, Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios, and the parade. Oh, I don't know which parade it was. It was a block dance party parade.
Yeah.
I didn't get the right name.
My sister pushed me into it, like the whole parade, like everyone. And my sister is really, really funny and really strong. She's like rides horses and farm girl, pulls tractors. She's like a unit, and she shoved me into this parade. Not just like, oh, saved you, like you're in.
Literally.
And I'm like, all of a sudden, I've gone 6 or 8 foot stumbling in, and normally it'd be like, sir, could you step back? Everyone was around me and like trying to get me. It was bad. It was so bad. Yeah. So yeah, my sister's terrible. Never coming on another trip with us. So the next year, this was an interesting time for us. So it's 2010. We'd had a massive upheaval. We'd moved from just outside of London, from where we're from, to the West Country. Bought a massive business. Very, very sadly, my dad passed away, and then so we bought a massive new business. Massive emotional stuff going on, and then we went for a big trip at Christmas time.
Yeah, so
just before Christmas.
Mid-December, yeah, mid-December.
So it was a 2-center trip. So we flew out, and then we stayed for the first week at Royal Pacific at Universal, and in the back end, somewhere where I'd always wanted to stay, Wilderness Lodge.
And did we book this through Dial-A-Flight?
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
This is when we were booking everything through Dial-A-Flight, and they've been absolutely fantastic. Really, really good service, very personal service. We've used the same guy for a long time. We use other options now for different reasons, but nothing that Dial-A-Flight did. So if you're ever looking for a holiday option, always check out Dial-A-Flight. They were really, really good for a lot of trips.
And we would still use them if they got the right, it's just there's more options now, there's more choice, and at that time they had better options and better choices. Now sometimes we'll find a deal and we'll go to them to see if they can match it, and sometimes they can't. So that's why we tended to just cherry pick a bit more now.
We'll go into more details at another time on how we book our holidays, but basically I play a massive game with Tesco's club card points.
As do most people, I think, now for their holidays.
Yeah, so. But Dial-A-Flight have been fantastic. So we went out to Royal Pacific, which was awesome.
It was awesome. The only thing, that was the holiday, because it was December.
It was freezing.
It was freezing, and it was even colder than it normally is. They'd had a cold snap, so on the news in the mornings they were like worried about their strawberry crops and their orange crops and things.
Yeah, there was frost everywhere.
But we got up that first morning not expecting it to be not quite as hot as August and September, but not as cold as it actually was. So we got ready to go to the park, so you could walk to the park with the early magic hours, and it was the first time that Hogwarts had been opened, the Hogsmeade area. Yeah. So we were like, yeah, Harry Potter. And we were walking and Daisy was like, are you sure this is Florida? It doesn't even smell like Florida. Yeah, it was so cold.
The kids thought we were winding them up. So as we're going around, they're just like, this isn't Florida. It doesn't smell like Florida. It's freezing.
And we got there that morning. We did the Harry Potter, I think it was the journey, Forbidden Journey ride. And then it was so cold. I remember going into the, what's the sweet shop? Anyway, the Harry Potter sweet shop, Honeydukes, because they had heating on. So this was the first time we've experienced Florida where you actually go into a shop or a ride to get heat rather than aircon.
If you want to see Tracey lose her mind, like really put a face on, if she's cold.
I hate being cold. I cannot be cold.
Just like.
And we did Cat in the Hat several times because it had heating on.
Yeah, I remember Luke and I going up for the Jurassic Park river adventure. And as we're going around, obviously no one in the queue, as we got to the front of the queue, bearing in mind how old would Luke have been here?
10.
10. So, 10-year-old boy, up for everything. So we got to the front of the queue, and this guy's just looked at me and gone, really? And I'm like, how bad is it? And he's just gone, it's freezing. And Luke looked at the boat and just went, no, Dad. So we had a week there, which was fantastic.
Yeah, and we did a little bit of international drive.
Yeah.
We did Charlie's Steakhouse.
Charlie's Steakhouse, best steaks ever.
A few Denny's breakfasts.
And then we headed over to Wilderness Lodge for a week, which was fantastic.
It was brilliant.
It was really busy because it was Christmas, but the place was super Christmassy.
Yeah.
It was heaving because that is like a real destination place for people to go that aren't necessarily staying there. You've got the massive reception area, the big tree. We couldn't get any dining reservations at the time.
No, I think we managed to eat around the pool from the quick serve, but we couldn't get to eat in any of the places there. Yeah. It was just too busy.
But we had a great time. It was a fantastic week, doing all of our favourite stuff at Disney.
And at the end of it, the proposal.
Oh yeah, I nearly forgot that. Yeah, so yeah, it was a big trip.
It was.
Yeah.
And we do want to go back because where you actually proposed was on the beach.
They put a plaque up, like, here is the point where Keith dropped to a knee.
More than that, they built a whole restaurant.
They built a restaurant! And there's like a big sign up saying this restaurant was built here to commemorate.
Was it Whispering? Is it Whispering King?
It's called Keith and Tracey's Magical Memories Restaurant.
Anyway, we want to go and eat there because it'll have a significant pull for us. Yeah.
Tracey wants to go there because she thinks there might be more jewellery if we go there. There won't be any more jewellery.
It might be warmer than it was the last time we were there though.
Then we had a 3-year break. Another dark time, very business.
The wilderness years.
Yeah, the wilderness. Very busy time with business and kids and like not a lot of money and just life taking over. And then we went back with some more friends and we stayed at Art of Animation.
Yeah, and again, because the business being so busy, we were closed between Christmas and New Year, so we thought, oh, this is a good time to go, even though I was like, oh, it was cold, but at least now I know what to expect and I'll pack accordingly. And we went, I think we flew on Boxing Day. And we stayed out there for New Year, met other friends while we were out there who are...
We got some friends in the American military that we met in the UK and have remained really good friends with, and so we met up with them.
And they're big Disney fans anyway.
Yeah, because they were living quite near there at the time. So they stayed with us. One of my best friends lives in Tampa. She came down and we had friends with us from the UK that we were taking out. So it was a big herd.
Yes, but it wasn't as cold as it had been in the December that we did before. We had a couple of cold snap days, but it wasn't as cold. I don't remember a lot more. We stayed at Art of Animation, which was great. Again,
fantastic.
And it was fairly new. I think it had only just opened that year or maybe the year before.
Yeah, very similar. For me, very similar feels to Pop Century.
Well, it is. It's like a mirror image of Pop Century.
I love it. I just love it. I cannot wait for my brother to start having kids so I can take his kids.
Yeah. Or random children.
Or random children, yeah.
Watch out for your kids, folks.
Yeah, so that was fantastic. We did a whole bunch of Disney stuff. It was still really cold.
Yeah.
That's it.
No dining plan, but we kind of we knew a bit more about what we were doing with the food by then, so we managed to eat reasonably well. We had a few meals in nice places.
I tell you what the highlight for that holiday was, and they don't do it anymore. What was that? The Christmas light show at Hollywood Studios.
Oh yes, the Osborne family's dancing light show.
I'm so glad. If you've never seen that, go onto YouTube, see if you can see it. I am just over the moon that we got to see that, because we knew it was coming to an end. And there's a lovely little backstory behind it. So it's the Osbornes.
I don't know the backstory.
No, what's it called?
Osborne family's
light show. Basically, this bloke used to light his whole house up, and then I think all the neighbours complained or whatever. Go and check the story out. But Disney took it on, and they lit up a whole area of Hollywood Studios.
Streets of America bit.
Yeah, all different Christmas lights, snow blowing.
Pipe snowing.
One of the best things I've ever seen at Disney. I wish they would bring that back.
Well, that was a great night. That was a really great night because we'd done Fantasmic.
Yeah.
And then it was quite one of the warmer nights actually. It was quite a nice night. So we did Fantasmic, then we walked back through and we did the Osborne family's dancing light show, the snow and everything, and then we met up with our friends and we went to the 50s Primetime Diner for dinner with them, which we had a really good meal there I think that night. And it was just one of those really perfect sort of like sequenced things. It just worked really well, didn't it?
Yeah, so that was a great trip. 2015, huge game changer for us because we ended up going to Old Key West.
If you've never, for
the first time, Old Key West, as everyone knows, is Orlando's best resort. If you think anything otherwise,
Tuesday is approved.
You're mad. Yes, Tuesday is approved. Old Key West for me, I'm not going to bore on about it. If you're not staying there and you're on resort, just go to Old Key West, have a wander around, have a lunch at Olivia's, just soak it in for a bit. When you're there, your bones feel warm.
Yeah, and it's just, I think for us as well, the accommodation, although we'd had the 2-bedroom villa when we stayed at Saratoga because your sister was with us, we had the 1-bedroom villa at Old Key West, so this was our first experience of the 1-bedroom villa, and we were, oh, this is perfect. Obviously, at that time, the kids were young enough they could share a bed because I think they only had the double at that time, the double sofa bed. But it was just great. We loved the look and feel of the place. We were back to going it was October. So we'd gone in October. So we're back to going at a warm time of year, which was also nice. We fell in love with the fact you get the ferry to Disney Springs in the evening.
And we took our friends with us.
And our friends that we'd gone to Saratoga with in 2009 came with us in 2015.
So bearing in mind,
they weren't going to do it again.
Bearing in mind, he was just like, I know I'm going to have to do this. So basically, long story short, he's just like, I'm going to have to do it again. Can we come with you? Yeah, you can. So they came with us in 2015.
Back on dining plan.
Yeah, and that was
great experience.
Brilliant. Then 2016. Did they come with us again?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came with us again. He loves it.
They didn't book at the time. They were like, oh no, we won't this year. And then like we booked, and then I think about 2 months later, went, decided we want to come.
Yeah. So that was fantastic, and they had a brilliant time. So that was 2016. Old Key West again, still as awesome as always. Disney still was brilliant as always. 2017, massive change for us. Went to Old Key West again.
But only for 4. Well, our friends didn't come this year. They were having a bit of a break.
Yeah, so basically, he'd had enough. He'd just like, right,
this is it,
I'm not coming again.
So we booked and we went as the 4 of us.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Which it was, but also because the previous 2 years we'd gone with our friends and their son is the same age as Luke and they're great mates. I think for the first few days Luke was like, oh, I really miss them. I really miss this. And then he kind of got into the groove. We had a great time, the 4 of us, didn't we? Yeah,
and basically the trip before, as we were walking off of Universal, my mate Phil was just like, I said, why are you smiling so much, Phil? And he's like, I'm never going to have to do another theme park again. He says he doesn't like them, so I don't know. Anyway, 2018, Phil came back with us again. So this was, what trip was it?
Their trip?
Yeah.
That will be their 4th.
Right, so basically...
someone who didn't want to do Disney.
So basically, back in 2009... Phil said, look, I'm going to have to do this Disney trip with you. I don't want to do it, but if I'm going to do it, I'm doing it with you. He's now got 4 trips in the bag. So we are heading back in, so we were back in 2018, Old Key West, everything the same, everything brilliant, except we flew business class.
Yes. that was good. Again, that was Dial Flight that got us that deal.
Dial Flight, cracking deal. So basically, the flights were still expensive, but they were premium economy flights, flight money, but we got business class, and that was absolutely brilliant. Is it worth the money if you're paying the full rack rate? Probably not, because it was, even though we got a deal, it was still expensive.
We went in August for the first time.
Yeah.
That was because I think we were expecting Luke to have done A-levels and possibly go, we don't know, the children at school. It was something to do with children's schooling, and we couldn't fit it in any other time, so we thought we'll just have to bite the bullet and go in August, which we did. It was hot.
Yeah, but it was another brilliant trip. And then, May 2019, Key West. Yep. For a week.
So to go back to the other trip, that was the first trip that we started to vlog, the 2018 August.
Oh yeah.
Trip. So that was the one you saw the business class.
That's good. Yeah, so that's when we started to vlog. Also, because we didn't know if we were going to like it or do it, I didn't actually tell our friends that I was vlogging, so it was all a bit secret squirrel, which is why that, you know, we were finding our feet.
Yeah, we didn't want it to impact on their holiday either, so we just sort of like did a little bit while they were with us. They were only with us for 8 days of that holiday actually, because they had to fly back because of another commitment, which we knew not halfway through. We did know that's all they were doing. It wasn't like it happened halfway through the holiday. So then for the last half of the holiday, when it was just the 4 of us, we kind of got a little bit more.
We went vlogtastic.
Comfortable, shall we say, with the vlog. And that's where we kind of like got into our groove with it a little bit more. Yeah. So that was our first vlogging experience that holiday. So yeah, so. Then May 2019. The first year we were going to have 2 Disney holidays.
Yes. So we booked for May. We were just going out for a cheeky week at Old Key West, and then 3 days before we were going to go, Tracey's mum
broke her hip. Yeah. So I had to stay behind. She was in hospital, but due to have an operation the day before we were due to fly. My dad was at home. She is his carer anyway. Yeah. I couldn't go, but there was no point the others not going. They couldn't do anything if they stayed behind, so, and we weren't, you know, we'd lose money, so
we went.
They went.
Yeah, and it was a great trip. Obviously you can't go like 100% because, you know, you get in trouble for enjoying yourself when your wife's not there.
No, I did tell you to go and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of money spent on a holiday, get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And I lived it vicariously through you. And the great thing was, it was the holiday where you really got into your stride with the vlogging.
Yeah.
So for me, coming back, and then when we were doing the editing for that holiday, I got to live a lot of that holiday through the vlogs. So if you hadn't vlogged it, it wouldn't have.
It would have been an absolute waste. And for me, May was my favourite time of the year weather-wise. I think it was a particularly hot one in 2019, but Old Key West again, Disney again. What was brilliant on this trip, because we only went for a week, but it was a resort that we knew inside out, we got a lot out of it. It's not like familiarising yourself with a new resort where it takes you a day or 2 to get used to new areas and shops and bars. But we knew what we were doing, so we were literally there. Oh, and the other thing, we went to a park on the day that we arrived, so...
For the first time.
Yeah. Oh, and also, another first for us, Luke flew home on his own, like a big boy, which was... which was stressful, but he was all over it.
And it's Flower and Garden, which you've not done.
Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot.
We love food and wine when we go in sort of August and October. But...
Yeah, but that was fantastic. And now this brings us up to our most current trip, which was October last year,
which you've all seen,
and it was
through the vlogs,
and which was a bit of a 3-centre trip. So we had one night on Coronado Springs. Loved that. Definitely want to go back to Coronado Springs. That was one of my favourite ever travel days because I love travel days. It's my I just love them. And then when we got to eat at the 3 Bridges, the weather was great with my incredible family, and we had a lovely bit of food. And then we went over to Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yes.
To Kidani Village, which was incredible.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah.
It was lovely. And then we ended up 3 days at Portofino Universal at the end of it. And it was an extended holiday. We decided for the first time we would do that because that time of year, the business, when we normally come back, it's the end of that half term. And that weekend at the end of half term for us as the business is normally really quiet. So I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice when we come back and we'll just close that weekend, so when we come back we're not straight back into the business, because we wouldn't get much business anyway. And we're just like, okay. And then I thought, oh, well, if we're going to have 3 days where we're closed when we get back from Florida, why don't we just
stretch
stay
it out
in Florida for those
Yeah.
extra 3 days. And that's how the Portofino bit got bolted onto the end of the holiday, because we just thought, let's just, why not?
Yeah. So that's it. That's our history. That's where we've been.
Yeah.
That's how we did it. We really hope that really hope that you've enjoyed
Yeah, that's
this.
how our experiences have unfolded, and we've got to know what we like, we've got to know what we like to do, open to some more suggestions of what to do. I mean, you guys have suggested places where you think we should stay, which has been really great, and we have taken those on board. We definitely want to stay at some other places, but that's what's got us to where we are now. Our love of Disney, our love of staying on resort, and our love of doing things the way we've been doing them. But yeah, we're hoping to shake it up a little bit when we can get back out there and share more of our experiences with you.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this. Stay safe, look after one another, be kind, and that's it from us. Cheers.
Cheers.